there. This is Carol, and you are listening to a very special edition of the Girl Talk podcast today. This is the podcast we recorded at the Hickory Bible Church at the Girl Talk Live Christmas event.
Hello! Yay!
We're so excited that y'all are here tonight.
Yes, we are.
Talking about the holidays, because they are upon us, right?
And it says Christmas up there. So I think that's what we're supposed to talk about, right?
And so I want to start us by asking, have you ever asked for something for Christmas and you anticipated this gift? While you have time to think about it, I got to tell y'all a story. Because you know me, I always got a story. My sister's here, so she will probably tell stories on me for money at some point. But anyway, when I was a kid, I wanted a Sony Walkman. Y'all remember those?
Oh, yeah.
Sony Walkman. I couldn't stop thinking about it. When I got the Sears Wish book, I turned to page 23 and I dog-eared the corner. I was like, this one right here, the silver one with the headphone. I was so excited about it.
Okay, hold up.
Okay.
Is anybody else old enough to remember the Sears book?
These are my people.
Yes.
These are my people. I knew that was...
Okay, good.
Anyway.
Are you cutting it out?
So we just dog-eared, where's Jill at? We just dog-eared the corners, didn't we, Jill? Yeah. We just turned them down. And so I was so excited, I could not get this off my mind. And one day, my mom had to go to the grocery store, and my dad was working out in the yard. And there was a box underneath the tree that was the perfect size for a Sony Walkman. And I thought to myself, I bet that's a Sony Walkman.
Yeah.
And one of the edges had lifted up. And I thought that was a sign from the Lord.
Uh-oh.
And so I peeked out the blinds and I made sure my daddy was far enough away. Mm-hmm. And I thought, this is my shot. I got to know. I just got to know. And so I peeled the corner back because, you know, if you get that dollar store tape, it peels off real easy. That's always the kind we got. So I peeled it back, and right there in big, bold letters, it said, Oral-B toothbrush.
Oh.
That's what you get.
Wow.
That's what you get.
I've never been so disappointed in my life. I did get the Sony Walkman that year, but I didn't think I was getting it, and I had to wait till Christmas.
Was it in an Oral-B box?
No. I really
Okay.
got,
Look at those teeth.
Oh,
Look at those teeth.
Clean.
Thank goodness for that Oral-B.
Yeah, right?
Your mom and dad did good.
They did do good. Mm-hmm. They did do good. But I anticipated that gift, and then when you open it up, it's just like, and then you're not excited about Christmas at all. No. It's like, I mean, I appreciate now my parents' passion for oral health. But when I was 8, not so much.
I'll tell you a story.
Man. Okay.
So my kiddo is back there somewhere in the back, and hi, Will.
Hey, Will.
So when he was young, I really, really this was about me buying a gift for him that he did not like. So I really wanted him to learn to play golf because, you know, I mean, all kids should have like a sport or something, right? It was like golf. Oh, that's the one. Like, you know, people with lots and lots and lots of money play golf. That's a very expensive sport. So I'm going to teach him how to play golf.
Get a scholarship.
Get a scholarship. There's not a whole lot of those. So what did I do? I bought him golf clubs, like junior golf clubs. They were like green and red and all the really pretty colors. And he opened it up and went, thanks, Mom.
It's always the clearing of throats.
Right.
That, you know,
yeah.
You've missed the mark.
It was a total bomb.
Yeah.
Total bomb. He anticipated something better than that, and that is not what he got.
What about you?
Well, I was thinking about that. You remember when you hated getting clothes for Christmas?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? Like you were younger, you didn't want clothes. All I want is clothes now, am I right? Right now that I'm older, I'm like, please get me clothes. But I remember wanting an Atari game. Who remembers Atari?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jungle Hunt and all that. I wanted it so bad. But instead, I got pajamas. Now, it's not as bad as an Oral-B toothbrush, but it wasn't what I wanted.
Yeah.
But it's so funny how, like, I love Bombas socks. If I get Bombas socks for Christmas, I am like, yes, knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
But boy, when I used to get socks,
Right.
That was such a bummer. Or underwear. Like, who gives underwear for Christmas? Somehow I got
But
underwear.
you need it. You need it. Go ahead and admit it.
Well,
you
you need
it.
your Oral-B toothbrush too, Carol. It's all about expectations, though.
That's
what you want
yeah.
versus what you get.
Yeah, and that's what I want us to talk about a little bit, because I think this season, more than any other, is about anticipation.
Yeah.
And we all know the right answer to the questions. You know, I think if we went around a room this size and talked to everybody, you could give us the Sunday school answers for what we're supposed to do and believe and act out during this season.
Yeah.
But a lot of times our heart and our minds are far away. Am I the only one?
No.
You know the things that you're supposed to do, but you get caught up in the trappings of the season and you rush through it and you don't appreciate it, and you find yourself frustrated because you know what you're supposed to do, but you don't often do it, right? Is that just me?
No.
Okay.
You're right.
All right, so how do you focus on Jesus and center yourself on that part of Christmas as opposed to all the other things that vie for our attention this time?
One of the things I love is to collect nativity sets. We have a big one in our front yard. I have them all over my house, and so I can't go 5 feet without having a nativity set. And that's one thing I do. I grew up Methodist, and the Advent wreath was a big deal in our church growing up, and so I have an Advent wreath in our living room. And when I'm really paying attention to what I'm doing, I will light that candle every Sunday night and, do an Advent devotional that helps me really stay focused on Jesus this time of year.
Yeah.
That's so good. I wish I had a good answer. I
do
really,
too.
really want to have
That's
a good
why I looked
answer.
at her first. Yeah. She's always got a good answer.
got a good answer. Well,
You're taking notes over here.
Yeah, I wrote that down.
Advent
wreath. Okay.
Okay, I had to tell you, because we're
struggle.
honest here, okay? I bought an Advent wreath this year and got the candles and everything. And I woke up the other day and went, it's December 4th. I was supposed to start that.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell you how to handle that. We got a chocolate one, and we never miss a day. Never. We're already in the next week. So that'll fix that.
Fair enough.
But honestly, I really do struggle. If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't really love this season.
Yeah.
I don't. I want to, but it stresses me out so bad. I always feel like I'm not decorated enough. I'm not doing enough. I haven't gotten the good enough gifts. I'm terrible, like decorating and things like that. And I miss my mom.
Yeah. Sure.
So I really struggle to figure out the way to be holly jolly.
Right.
Yeah. I think the gift giving part can be really difficult at Christmas because there's so much pressure to want to buy somebody the right gift or to be really thoughtful about gifts. And sometimes this time of year, it's hard to be thoughtful. You know, you just are run, and you don't have time to really stop and think about that perfect thing for that person.
Or about Jesus, too.
Yes.
Yeah. Because he is the perfect.
He is.
Right.
He
We
is.
get really distracted with all of those kinds of things and forget about Jesus.
So one of the things that helps me, and I don't know if we used to do this a lot when I was growing up, is we would turn off all the lights except for the Christmas tree. And I don't know what it is about that kind of settles me.
Yeah.
But a lot of nights, I'll just sit in my living room with just the Christmas tree lights on.
What do you think it is about that?
I don't know. I think it's just, I have a really hard time settling. Like I feel like my mind is running a million miles.
Right.
Now, it ain't making no progress.
That's
Think
a different
hamster
story
wheel.
for a different day.
It's not getting anywhere on
Treadmill.
any of the subjects. It's just running them over in there. And, but I think I have a hard time, like, taking a, I always used to hear, everybody would laugh and say, oh, I wish I had a silent night, and, but the truth of the matter is we just don't know how to be still.
Yeah.
True story.
And I've found that in my life. This past year, I've been really trying to build that into my schedule. I'm horrible at it, but especially the being still part, because I was ADHD before there ever was a word for it. And So I have a hard time being still, but I also have a hard time just stopping my thoughts and just being still in my mind and in my heart. And for whatever reason, that act of just having the Christmas tree lit is very calming and peaceful and helps me to settle in some weird sort of way. And I don't know if that would work for you or not, but it has really helped me to kind of just take a deep breath, because I think one of the things that we do during this season is we run and we're exhausted. Like before this season even starts, we're already dreading it. And that, as believers, that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah.
Like, this should be the greatest time of the year.
Yeah.
The most wonderful time of the year. That's why there's a song, y'all.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to be, right? And yet, it's not, because we enter the season exhausted.
Yes. Yes.
And
Well,
we have
especially when
nothing left
Thanksgiving
to
is
give.
right on top
Yes.
of December,
Sure.
like it was this year. You know, we
Right.
start with this season of thankfulness, a season of gratitude, and then we forget really quickly how to be grateful.
Yeah. It's almost like we check that off the list and move on to the next thing right away. I tell you what I struggle with during this season, and I don't know if anybody else does this, but I'm so anxious thinking about what other people are thinking about me or about my gifts or how I did, or like almost like I'm imagining conversations in my head that haven't happened. Like, for example, my mother-in-law. Like I feel like I'm in my head, I'm imagining her judging me, but she hasn't. I'm imagining people.
You don't have to. You've already done that.
I've already judged myself. But does anybody else do that?
Yeah.
Like I'm imagining conversations that never took place, and then I'm already reacting to how they would have made me feel if they had took place. So it doesn't matter if they didn't take place, because I already experienced them.
Right.
It's like, that's crazy town.
Yeah.
Kind of like almost catastrophic thinking in a lot of ways. And I think that's a reaction to having had some trauma in your life. You almost expect negative things. Yeah. So being still is absolutely one thing I need to do to help with that. And calming myself before I imagine someone judging me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think social media has done that to all of us. Like, you open up your Facebook page and you see Betty Sue.
Betty
Sue and her perfectly decorated house. And her
all Hobby
perfectly
Lobby.
dressed children.
Yeah.
Smiling perfectly for the camera for the Christmas photo shoot that she sends you every year.
In her little
In their
outfit.
matching Christmas
In
pajamas.
their matching Christmas pajamas. It's me and my daughter, and we can't get a good Christmas photo. What is wrong with that? Good grief.
You know, one of that, getting back to what we can do to focus on Christmas. You know, I was just remembered when I was a kid, the church that I went to had this thing they called the Hanging of the Greens service, and they had this gigantic tree. So it was the day they put up the tree, and they decorated the tree, and they put all the wreaths all around the stained glass windows, and they made this big production out of it, and they made these. Chrismon ornaments that were all made out of white beads and gold beads, and little old ladies in the church had made them, and they were crowns, and they were crosses, and they were lambs, and
Symbolic.
they were all different
symbolic.
symbols of different things. And it was such a time of really centering at the beginning of the season. So they did it like the Sunday after Thanksgiving, and everybody would come to the church, and they would sing Christmas carols, and they would read scripture, and we would one by one go up, and each person got a ornament that they could hang on the tree. And then there was a dessert, like a covered dish, but a dessert covered dish afterwards. And somebody always made those like Rice Krispie treats, but they weren't Rice Krispie treats. They were made out of cornflakes, and they were shaped like holly, and they were dyed red and green. Y'all remember? And they had the red hots on them. Those were my favorite. But it was just such a time to center and then have fun and fellowship.
We got the Christmas poke with the orange and the raisins and the spearmint gum. Did y'all get those? Right there's my friend. There you go. And you wondered if those raisins were from last year?
Oh, they were. They were totally from last year.
Anyway, sorry. Sorry.
So
I always do that, don't I?
If anybody
Christmas
has
Pope?
the recipe for either of those things, just send them to us.
Not the
Girl
Pope
talk
bag.
at
I got
thelightfm.org.
Yeah, I got the poke bag. Yeah, did they do those?
No, I don't know what the Christmas poke is. What is it?
It doesn't sound very good.
It's a brown bag, and it's got an orange and walnuts and spearmint gum and raisins in it.
Okay, hold.
Look, see?
Whole, not like cut up together. Not
bag?
like
Not whole.
It's a
Bag? There's a bag? Okay.
Like a poke
All
you
right.
can take home with you.
I don't know what
It's
that
on its own
is.
to-go
You
bag.
don't know what a poke
Is that what it is?
No, like a poke.
No.
Poke. Christmas poke.
These aren't country girls.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Everybody here knows what a poke is, don't you?
Okay. I'll learn. We'll
All
learn.
right,
We'll be
confused.
on it this time next
All right,
year.
I'm going to get off the poke and get us back on subject here, I promise.
Jesus.
Jesus, yeah.
That's the subject. Jesus.
So, I don't mean to a whiplash here, but our
Yes, you do.
station, yeah, no, I do it every
Yes,
time.
you do.
Our station is located in Asheville, if you don't know that, and the devastation that we saw from Helene, and I know some of the communities around here suffered as well, was a sobering reminder to me of the reason that the radio station is where it is.
Yeah.
And I found myself more times than not saying, God, don't let it take a natural disaster to get me back to what really matters.
Yeah.
Because so many people, people are now saying, oh, well, things are getting back to normal. Y'all, I mean, just being totally transparent, it's not going to be back to normal for a long time.
Yeah.
We are still driving by debris every day. We are still walking alongside people who are living in campers in below 30-degree weather. We're still walking with people who don't have running water in their. I mean, the need
trauma.
is still great. Yes, and there's so much. I was talking to a school teacher just the other day, and there was a rainy day, and a lot of her kids had to go spend time in the counselor's office because they just were so freaked out because it was starting to rain again. So the trauma that our area has been through has really been a reminder to me that now more than ever before, we got to focus on the hope.
Yeah. Yes.
And the hope that we have in Jesus. Because y'all, all this stuff that we spend time decorating and worrying about and putting under the tree, all that thing's going to pass away. And all that's left is the people that we connect with in our communities.
Yeah.
And the people that we share our faith with. And so I don't know about you guys, but for me, that's been a stark reminder day after day, driving by debris, driving by houses that used to be there that I didn't pay very much attention to, that now I'm missing. It's been a reminder to me that now more than ever before, we need hope. Turn on the nightly news.
Yeah.
There is a world starving to death for hope. And if we as believers really do believe in the hope of Jesus, and if we're living that out in our lives, you couldn't keep the people out of this auditorium. And so it's more important now than ever before for us not only, to have hope, but also to share that hope with other people.
And that was one of the things that I was the most impressed with Helene, is how the churches, how God's people showed up and were the hands and feet of Jesus to people who had heard all kinds of bad things about Jesus, all kinds of wrong things about Jesus, who didn't know him in the way that we know him, and they got a different taste of what it means to follow Jesus and what it means to look at somebody who follows Jesus. And for those of you here who were the hands and feet of Jesus to your communities during that time, thank you.
Or who came and volunteered.
Yes, or came up to Asheville and volunteered, or into one of the other communities. It mattered. So thank you for doing what you've done.
Yeah.
And you're still doing it. People are still doing it. And people are hungry to see Jesus now, to hear about God now. And when they see us, even if we're traumatized, even if we're hurting, leaning into God now they're paying attention.
Yeah.
It's like they're more interested than ever. If you have ever been through a traumatic time, that is your moment to show where you find your hope.
Yeah.
And so now is all of our moments. And I know for me personally, just to lean into God, even though I may or may not feel the Christmas spirit, but leaning in and finding and sharing that hope is more important now than ever before. People are watching.
Yeah. So tonight is all about that hope.
Yeah.
And we do not want one of you to leave here tonight without that hope. That is why this podcast started. How many ever years ago was it now?
No, it's 2018. I can't do math that fast.
Okay. 6 years? Is that right? 6 years? Yeah.
Whatever.
So 6 years ago, 6 years ago, we decided, you know what? We're having such great conversations in the hallways. What would happen if we just turned on the microphones? And you have responded in such a way that we've kept going for 6 years, and we're going to continue to keep going because.
Thank you. We love you.
Because it is our desire to share the hope of Christ with the world, not just with you and your neighbors, but anywhere that God gives us opportunity.
And I'm proud of us. I'm proud of us because we're here doing this, which shows that we want to have our focus on Jesus.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
It's an intentional choice to focus on Jesus. Otherwise, we're going to get swept away in the winds of culture and the to-do lists and the tinsel. But that you're here, that we're here, Natalie's here, Hope's here, we're focusing on Jesus. And I think that pleases God's heart.
And the fact that you're willing to stop and take time out of your busy schedule, because we know we've all got more stuff than we can count to do.
Got to
during the
make
holidays.
pokes, for example.
Whatever that is.
I'm never going to live that down.
No.
Not ever going to live that down. That's okay. I'm okay with being a poke girl. Give me a brown paper bag and I'll make it sing.
Can't wait to see it.
But the whole reason that we continue to do this is to share the hope of Jesus with you. So know that it is our desire as you sit here tonight for you to know that hope. And if you don't, we'll stay here all night if we need to, as long as somebody's got a poke. And we'll share that with you because that's the reason that this exists. That's the reason we do events like this. We have so much fun getting to meet you and hear your stories. But also we want to encourage you because God has placed you in your community for such a time as this. You are not at your job by accident. You are not at your church by accident. And if you don't have a home church, find one. Invest in community because I'm going to tell you, if I didn't have community, I would be off the rails quicker than anybody. It matters, and it's people speaking into your life and speaking truth to you when you don't want to hear it sometimes, but need to hear it. And so get involved. And I'm not just talking about going to a church. I'm talking about getting involved, being connected with people, letting people see your life and learn from your life because everybody that's around you, there's something you can learn from them. But there's also something you can teach them.
That's true.
And so that's so important.
Being honest, being transparent, being perfectly imperfect during this season is so important right now.
Yeah. Anything you would add to the conversation, Ms. Prius?
No, I was just sitting here thinking, though, about how hard it is. How hard it is to be vulnerable. How hard it is to step out there and build relationships with people. How hard it is, especially if you're not plugged into a church, to go and plug yourself into a church. That's hard. And if you're, like Carol said, if you're not, take that first step because it makes all the difference in the world. And at Christmas time, because there's a whole lot of people who don't go to church most of the year, they'll come on Christmas. That's a good time to go and be an outsider in a new place, which is hard. It's a hard step to take. I've had to do it recently, and it's hard. Yeah. So grab a girlfriend, grab a guy friend, and go meet some new people. Yeah. And pray. God will give you people. He'll put people in your life who can minister to you and who you can minister to as well. So ask God for that, and He will give it to you. Know that we love you so very much. Thank you for being a part of this podcast family. We could not do it without you.
We could record things, but no one would listen to them. And so thank you for listening to the podcast, for sharing it with your friends, and for being here tonight. It is a great blessing to us, and we love you so much, and we want you to know the hope of Jesus.
So what are we going to do to keep our focus on Jesus?
I think I'm going to be still. Even though I don't like it, even though I'm bad at it, I'm going to continue to try it.
I'm going to lean into God's hope.
Sure.
Even when I hurt. And trust that He's got me.
Yep. And I'm going to show up at church where Jesus' people are and where I can worship with other people who love Him like I do.
And I think His Word is always a good place to start. Right? Lean into His Word. He's got something to say to you. Thank you so much for being here tonight. That's going to do it for our podcast. So we'll save you a seat and see you next time we gather around these microphones for the next Girl Talk podcast.
Love ya.